Everybody, it's Hussein Kabani, your favorite broker, and guess what? If you're sick of my market updates for 2024, this is gonna be the last one. So we're basically December 10th, 2024, and everyone is so hyped out there right now because TRREB just announced that our sales have gone up 40%. Yes, so they actually have gone up 40% if we look at last year versus this year. But if we looked at last month versus this month, the sales have actually gone down. So if we looked at last year versus this year, yeah, they said 40%. If we look at last month versus this month, we are down. They do say that we are still up seasonally adjusted, but I did my own math and it doesn't seem like we are. I mean, seasonally adjusted to me would mean is in 2023 from October to November, how much did it go down? Well, last year we went down about 9%. This year we went down about 11%. And when we look at the unit volume, it was around 730 units that was the difference. So to me, it's still kind of substantial, but hey, you know what? When we look at the trend overall, it seems like the housing market is kind of balancing off. I usually try to go in there and I try to challenge the statistics that Toronto Regional Real Estate Board puts out and do my own numbers and this and that. And to be honest, the only person that really satisfied so far right now is me, because no one's really questioned me about the numbers or anything. So then I figured, hey, like if everyone's gonna look at the same data, I might as well present the same data and give you my kind of opinion about what's going on in real time in the marketplace right now. Like I said, if we looked at the numbers, they're saying we're up 40%. Yeah, it's probably true. And then we're seeing a little bit more of a price increase from last year, around like 2.6%-ish. Our inventory position is still kind of higher in terms of like last year to this year. I looked at today's date and basically we're up about 20%, almost 21% in inventory throughout the GTA. Again, Durham being one of the ones that is not so over. It actually has the lowest amount of inventory increase over last year, which is about 9.1%. And across the board, we see numbers from 19% to 35%. Even in downtown condos, it's not as bad as I thought I would see it. We're up about 19.2%. But if you look at a Halton region, it's actually up by 35.7%. So I've been kind of noticing that Halton region, like the inventory has been higher, the sales haven't been kind of there. That's going to be an interesting market to keep an eye on. But luckily, we're talking about Durham, and Durham seems like can't be stopped. So it's getting the best of it. Now, this is what I actually wanted to share with you guys, because we're kind of going out of 24 and going into 25. So what I would really like to suggest over here, guys, is that look, real estate investment and real estate for your housing, I think we have to look at these as two separate things, right? So when we look at real estate for your housing, what I'm looking at is that your affordability essentially, right? Like, can you actually afford to buy this property? Can you afford to make the payments and you're not going to be strapped? At the end of the day, guys, you still want to enjoy your life and you don't want to be mortgage poor. So, you want to make sure you find that right balance. Otherwise, you might just end up in a situation of being stressed out for no real reason just to kind of have this house. But, for your own shelter, I obviously think it's kind of worth it still, as long as you can afford to have it. Even in my personal situation, we're in a big house that we really don't want to keep longer than hopefully the next year. But if we have to hold it, we're going to hold it. It doesn't make a difference. But I would like to see it gone because I would want to reduce my liability overall. That being said, I'm still going to go out and buy another property. Why am I going to buy a property? Because I want to buy a property because it's mine. I can paint the walls. No one's going to ask me to move out. Like, I could do whatever I want. And I find comfort in knowing that it's my own space, okay? It's not a rented space. I find comfort in that. You may not. That's an individual's opinion. But now when I look at it from the investment side of things, that's where I start to find it a little bit more challenging, right? I run a number just vaguely out of $800,000 property, and if for some reason you got 20 points to put down on it, you're still looking at carrying a mortgage of about $3,500, $3,600, plus you add in property tax, plus you add in insurance. You're probably looking at, $4,000, $4,100, and a property like that will probably rent out somewhere around like $3,000, maybe $2,800 to $3,100. You're basically going to be north of $1,000 in a negative. I don't know at this point if that's really worth it for someone to take $1,000 negative month to month to month, especially based on where the pricing is going. Now, I think it's different if you got into the market 20 years ago, like I did, okay? And I don't know what I was doing. I can't tell you I was a guru and saw all of these things happening, but I got in at a point where I felt comfortable. So that being said, when I look at 2004 and I look at 2023, on average, it seems like the Ontario household income has come up about 30%. But guess what? House prices have come up about 70% on their average, right? So we have to take this into consideration, guys, when it comes to investment. So what has worked in the past may not necessarily work in the future. Even when we were buying these other properties, we have a couple of investments, and even when we were buying these, we were still at least cash flow positive, or maybe even at a break even. I can't even say that. I think all the properties that we've bought before, they were all cash flow positive. I'm not saying we're making millions of dollars on these things, but a couple $100 a month. At least you weren't putting money out of your pocket. So moving forward, I'm not sure if that's going to be the thing. And that's why I come back again to say about your personal property. If I look at the history of since like 1976, I think it was, I looked at from 1976 until 2023, the average increase, even though we have these up and downs, has been 6.8%. So if you forecast that out forward, I still think it's probably a good idea to buy your own personal property. Is it worth buying an investment? I think that's numbers that you're gonna have to run and what you're actually gonna end up doing with it. In certain situations, it could make sense. If you're looking out for your kids, if you're looking out for an elderly parent or something else like that. Again, I've used this example before, but I bought into Pickering City Center. I think it's a great project. Do I think that I got an awesome deal on it? I don't think so. I think it's okay. The long-term potential of that project, I think, is really good. But ultimately, I actually have two personal uses for that property. It makes more sense for me. It's not just a straight numbers thing, it's more of an emotional thing. That's why I can justify that investment. To wrap everything up here, guys, I think that going into 2025, we're probably gonna see more of a balanced market over, okay? So I think that we probably might even see the seasonality of the spring market and the fall market, and I don't think that we're gonna see anything crazy. I think the number of sales will pick up. I think we'll probably end up somewhere around 68,000, 70,000 sales this year, and maybe we might see a bump to 80, 85,000 sales next year. And we'll probably see a small price increase at the same time. Region by region, it's gonna be a little bit different, but on average, I think we might see like another 3 or 4% increase in price. So I think it's gonna be steady. Do I think it's gonna go out of control? I don't think so. But who knows? We've seen crazy things happen right out of the blue. If you guys have any questions, specific questions to what your situation is, I encourage you guys to click on my Calendly link. I'd be happy to jump on a phone call with you guys for 15 minutes and give you my opinion about your specific situation. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. I know that you guys have. Please go ahead, like it, share it with your friends, and most importantly, subscribe, because I think out of there, I got the best content out there. Until next time, guys, remember one thing, get Kabani, get sold.
Sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sold. Sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sold. Sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sold. Sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sold.